Hello everyone and welcome. Sit back, relax, make a cup of tea or whatever you like to drink and get ready for new stories from Yellow Cat. Send your own favorite stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. So subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. Let's get started. What is the most foolish error you've ever witnessed a coworker with incompetence make? Part 2. I worked with an older woman at a pet food and supply store who was so bad at her job that I'm surprised she wasn't fired. She did everything wrong. I could give you a lot of stories, but I'll just give you a few examples. She was always giving customers the wrong amount of change because she couldn't seem to do simple math. Also, one night when she closed the store and went to count the money in the register, there was an extra $10 bill there. That shouldn't be a problem. You should just add it to the rest of the money, set aside some for tomorrow, and make a bank deposit for the rest. The computer thought that $10 was there when it clearly wasn't, which made the boss a little confused when she later told her what the money was. When asked if I had taken it, I obviously said no. I then told my boss that she should look at the security footage. It seems that the woman was caught on camera freaking out about it for 10 minutes before she took the $10 and left. She said she wasn't going to steal the money because she didn't want to get in trouble if the till was off. This did happen more than once, as my boss found old video footage to show. The woman was so stupid that she didn't seem to understand that what she was doing was basically stealing. We're losing money on treats, and my boss couldn't figure out why we had bags of treats that we couldn't find. The woman admitted that she gave away too many free treats to people's dogs, which cost the store money and items. They were also not cheap treats. They were fancy baked goods that cost a lot. She also did a lot of other stupid and dangerous things wrong, like mixing cleaning chemicals that shouldn't have been mixed, even though we had been taught a lot about that. Few times she broke the toilet when she tried to flush things like big paper towels, cleaning rags, cat litter, and paper bags. Turned out that she never learned how to read an analog clock correctly, and she always ate lunch later than she was supposed to. They agreed with my boss that she should get a digital watch. After a few days, she went back to work wearing a watch with an analog clock. She once asked me to help her because she couldn't lock the store door when it was time to leave. She was totally freaking out. It was locked with her car key when I got there. It was great when she quit her job because she was too old to do it anymore. When she left, most of the problems we were having went away for good. Was a motorcycle and ATV mechanic at a Polaris and Yamaha dealership. Someone who had been through MMI was hired. When he drained the oil for service, the guy forgot to fill it up twice, and I heard about more times. The first time I saw him, he was working on a Polaris Ranger, and I was going to figure out why it was getting too hot. I started up after he tells me it's done, and the noise it makes is awful. The machine made a strange noise, so I turned it off and asked him why he had just worked on it. "Oh, S," he said, and put oil in. Okay, since it didn't hurt anyone, let him know what an F-up that was. It looked like he got it. After a while, he comes in pushing an R6 sport bike and starts putting oil in it. He tested it out without putting any oil in it. When someone bought that bike, it sounded like a bunch of smashed a-holes. It's like nothing happened. Heard the same crap a few other times. When a customer called and asked why the roof on their Razor was messed up, he was finally fired. Turned out that about a month ago, he took the Razor for a test drive, rolled it, and didn't tell anyone. He just left it there and went about his day. I knew from the moment the idea came up that it was bad, so it took a long time to make. I'll try to keep the details as general as possible because, to be honest, I'm not sure if it would be easy to figure out. I work at a sports club that didn't make money. They hired this jerk. I guess he did his job, but my boss thought he was perfect and couldn't do anything wrong. He would mess up in ways that would get other people fired, or at least a talking to, but no one would tell him to stop. He once flooded our server cabinet by forgetting that he was filling up the tiny sink in the kitchenette on the floor above while he was doing his dishes and walking away. He had this great thought. During the week, he's going to plan an event and invite professional athletes from the same genre to take part. This is something we do a lot and very many people enjoy. Let's go! International athletes are invited and kept safe. This group of athletes is the best! Names of families. In order for them to see this as worth their time, we have to pay them a lot of money to cover their travel, hotels, and time taken. What this costs is going up and up. Since you had to buy tickets to get in, the prices that were needed to break even kept going up. This meant that many families who would normally come to this event, our main source of income, could not. Cancel it, I tell myself. Just effing say you messed up and back out of it. The logo of that top-level sport was printed on t-shirts, printed on goods that are someone else's intellectual property. After ads for the event start to get attention, Tiarella is told to stop what they're doing. Please note, this guy was almost done with his law degree. No sense at all. We have to deal with a lot of boxes of shirts and wasted more money. The date is coming up. Not many tickets are being sold. In the past, this event would sell out very quickly. They start little contests to give them away for free. As I was getting ready, I saw the spreadsheets. A huge amount of money was spent on this, and we are now so far in the red that I almost felt sick, but I was just glad I wasn't involved. Now for the next part. It turns out that Twitola put a clause in the contracts that says the talent will still get paid even if they can't make it to the event. It's clear where this is going. A week out, the guy's team doctor gets in touch. This week he can't fly. Gives up, gets paid. More money gone. Big Boss Man finally realized that this idea should never have left the station, which is making things more tense at work. T-Cat used this as a chance to waste someone else's money by meeting some of his favorite athletes. Now he can go home and sleep like a baby. He's still smiling and walking around like he owns the place. The week of, he walks around with the guests and introduces them to everyone on staff, as if he wants us all to give him a pat on the head. We don't care, dude. The event goes on. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. I found out that we were about $100,000 in the red when everything was over. On a small, not-for-profit scale. I quit soon after this happened because I couldn't handle working for that boss anymore. Looks like he lost this year, which doesn't surprise me at all. They probably gave him 5 years to get the money back from that mess-up, then told him to go. I'm glad I'll never have to go back there. What is the worst thing that a-hole neighbors or homeowners associations have done to you, Redditors? Part 2. So, I work in residential construction, and we often have to deal with horrible HOAs. There's a lot of disagreement in our state and industry about hurricane shutters. HOAs don't like the way panel shutters look, and some say that homeowners can't have them up for a certain number of days before or after a hurricane. People who live in the winter but want to use their summer homes during the storm season will have a terrible time with this. Some others also wanted impact glass windows, which cost more and aren't required in all areas. And sometimes we've seen an HOA that makes the homeowner replace their windows with the same type they had on the condos before, even if the old windows don't meet the current code and are in areas that are likely to be damaged by hurricanes. There was a time when the city building office had to call an HOA president because they wouldn't agree to allow impact ratings. It was very tiring. The woman was just a resident who was elected, and it was clear she had no idea about building codes. We were finally able to get her to see sense. Soon after, they sold to the customer's neighbors because, well... Permit me to provide you with some background information. When we moved into the house that had been vacant for a long time, it was located right next to the beach, and during the night, there were some people who appeared to be suspicious who would walk around and break into houses along the beach. All of our neighbors were very friendly and excited to see that someone had moved in there because it gave them some additional security. They were happy to see that someone had moved in there. Our driveway extends from a narrow lane all the way down into the back area of our property, which is where those cars are parked. Fencing is placed on either side of that driveway in order to create a barrier between our driveway and the yards of our neighbors. On the left side of that street, there's a neighbor who is not only pleasant, but also very friendly. It is an entirely different story for the one that is on the right. That he was waiting for his mother to kick the bucket so that he could sell the house and move on was something that he revealed to us himself personally. Seems as though this house is going to collapse at any moment. Wood that is rotted, lack of paint, trash that is strewn about the yard, etc. Because the fence that currently surrounds our properties is a very dull gray color, we decided to paint it aqua blue in order to give it a more vibrant appearance. Despite the fact that it was actually his fence, the neighbor on the left, who's a nice guy, informed us that he was okay with us painting it because he never even sees it from his side. The neighbor on the right completely lost his cool, but he eventually got over it. However, he chose not to communicate with us, perhaps because he hasn't done much of that in the past anyway. At the same time, we desired to install some lights down our driveway. However, in order to accomplish this, the lights would have to be mounted on the fence that's located on the side of the property of the jerk, and you will understand why I refer to him as such in a moment. Despite the fact that it would have no impact on him and would merely make it simpler for us to drive down our driveway at night, he has stated that he does not agree with the idea and that it is not even up for discussion. We learned the following morning that he came onto our property, removed 2 boards from his fence, and then let our dogs out. He did this without our permission. Due to the fact that he removed the fence and is not putting it back, which not only puts our safety at risk, but also constitutes trespassing on our property, we are in the process of initiating a criminal case against him. As a result of the fact that my house is located in a rural and unincorporated area, the Homeowners Association serves as a substitute for the local government in many respects. They have more authority than you might think, and they're responsible for maintaining the parks, roads, and local business permits. The removal of weeds and the pruning of trees are also not very important to them. One of the only businesses in the area is a small food cart, which is located next to a beautiful lake. Over the course of approximately 10 years, the proprietors had persistently declined to offer boat or paddleboard rentals. In order to submit a request for a permit to open a paddleboard and paddleboard rental business, I went to a community meeting and provided my information. In order to fulfill the necessary steps in the process of making my case, I presented the expenses and the return on investments. This would not necessitate the acquisition of any additional land beyond that which had already been designated for commercial purposes. It was rejected at the very beginning and with a great deal of force. Once more, I detailed the ways in which businesses that were comparable to mine had achieved success in other regions. I was instructed to return to the meeting that will take place the following month. During the following month, I discovered that the head of the board had formed a partnership with the food cart in order to rent paddleboards. My proposal for a business was turned down because it was redundant. For those of you who are curious about how he managed to persuade the individual to join forces, the proprietor of the food cart was the son of the homeowner association head. Consider contacting an attorney. Or just go in one night and drill holes in all the boats. I was a resident of San Francisco when the year 2000 was just beginning. To be more specific, I would drive my car to the residence of my cousin who lives in close proximity to a Mooney stop so that I could take public transportation. To get to work in San Francisco's downtown area, I would legally park my car in the public parking lot that is directly across the street from my cousin's house. His neighbor, some bitter Chinese lady, got angry at me because I didn't live there and I was parking illegally. No way, completely within the law. After a few months had passed, I became aware that the only side of my vehicle that was being keyed was the passenger side. I called the police, but I did not have any evidence to present. In order to keep an eye on my vehicle, I installed a camera in the window of my cousin's kitchen. I took her to court for small claims and allowed her to act like a victim. Her sob story is told to the judge, and she claims that I caused her a great deal of stress and anxiety because I parked in her house. However, this is no truth. During the time that it was my turn to speak to the judge, I remained silent, took out my laptop, and then handed a CD to him, or the officer who was supposed to give it to the judge. Judge plays it. The judge chuckled and then turned his gaze to the defendant. It is for everyone's viewing pleasure that he plays the CD that I gave to him. Remarkably, she faints in front of the defendants. The case has been resolved, and I have been awarded a total of $7,000 in damages. If you want to watch the part 1, click the link here. Thank you for subscribing, the likes, and comments. We're very happy to see you all in the comments too. Thanks for your support.